Good evening and welcome to the studio this evening. Hopefully the sound actually isn't too bad. Wow, that's amazing. I set the sound up last night and I spent quite a bit of time setting the sound up last night. Sorry, I'm looking at the audio meters. Got hiccups now. I'm looking at the audio meters, and last night when I was doing this, I was getting the peak that I'm getting now, which is too hot. Right, my mic's too hot. Okay. I'm getting a different peak as to what I was doing last night. That probably means I'm clipping. So one thing I probably need to do at this point is to turn that down a little. I'll cheat. If I turn that down there, okay, I'm hitting at about that sort of, yeah. Let me change my glasses so I can see what I'm doing. So, good evening everybody. This is kind of fascinating because last night when I was doing this, I wasn't getting the peak levels that I'm getting from the microphone now. For some reason it's getting a higher peak level. Not only that, the RMS voltage, the RMS signal, getting real technical here, is a lot higher than it was last night as well. Okay, I'm misreading my own meters, so I can turn that back up to where it was. And I ought to realise that I'm looking at a dBm meter anyway, which is logarithmic. So I was, I did peak there. I have to watch that. I should install a limiter, I think. Stop me doing that, or at least adjust the compressor so that it doesn't allow that to happen. Excuse me, I just had tea and I keep wanting to clear my throat. But the bit that's amazing me is the RMS signal is a lot more than it was last night, and now I'm probably slightly more than twice as loud as the music, which is actually where I wanted to get it last night, but for some reason it just was not having I was getting the level peaks, but I wasn't getting the RMS signals. Oh well. So keep an eye on that. I will have to remember to put the brick wall limiter on there, otherwise I am likely to be exceeding zero and clipping and causing pops and things. Yeah, it's getting up there. Excuse me a second. Right, clear my throat. I can't. I don't know. Anyway. So what I'll do is I'll get some of this out. I'll get on with this. And I'll tell you what I was doing last night. It's kind of like one of these things. As I tweeted out, it's, never update your software. Never update your software just immediately before you want to use it. Like, when I want to just go stream. But having said which, of course, it's kind of difficult when I'm trying to stream every night when to do it, because I work during the day, so I don't have a lot of, I come home from work, make tea, and then I've got about half an hour or so before I start streaming. So it's a bit difficult not to do that. I can wait well after the stream, but then we're getting into sort of early evening, and it's sort of time I went to bed type of thing. I have just put in number 10. Yes. So yes, what happened last night is I was sort of investigating. It had been said a couple of nights or so ago that my voice was really quiet and it was being overpowered by the music. And looking at the meters that OBS give you, I couldn't really see that, but and I listened to some of the recordings back, and it was kind of so really. But one of the things I've always noticed is my audio is a lot quieter than some of the broadcasters. So if I'm watching one of my own streams, I have to turn the volume up, the general computer volume up. And then when I go onto another stream, it blasts out and I've got to turn it back down again. And that basically tells me I'm not putting out the right sort of audio. Well, one of the things I did last night then was to actually install some plugins for OBS, some VST plugins. I have audio plugins. I can't actually remember what VST stands for at the moment. But one of the ones I installed, one of the packages I installed was metering software. For one of the plugins I installed was metering software that gives me audio meters, sort of stuff I'm kind of used to seeing in other walks of life. And one of the things that sort of surprised me was just how low level signal I was getting out of my microphone. Now I don't know if anybody's ever particularly familiar with it, but it was a level around about minus 50 dBm, which is a really quiet signal. And given that, well, I wasn't expecting it to be sort of 0 dB, but I was kind of expecting it to be higher than that. Peaks that might hit 0 if you were really hard, but even shouting into the microphone wasn't producing anything like that sort of signal, which kind of said one of two things. sort of said one or two things. Either the microphone's faulty. I don't think so. I was getting a decent signal out of it. I'm getting a cleanish sort of signal out of it. It seems to be a reasonably good quality signal. I'm not getting a lot of noise out of it, and so that didn't seem to be it. The other thing is, I am doing this using phantom power as opposed to a battery in the microphone. Well, I could have understood it with a battery in the microphone. I mean, I suppose the possibility, I was about to say something then, but I could have understood it with a battery in the microphone, in that the battery might have been going flat, and that would affect the voltage and therefore the amount of signal that the microphone would produce. But phantom power basically is power being fed up the cable to the microphone, and no, that should be okay unless it's a bad phantom power. But then I guess I'd also be getting audio effects, squealing, bad signal, all these sorts of things if the phantom power was no good. So not that. Could be the analog to digital converter. Could be, but I'm still getting a good signal. Alright, at that point it becomes USB and digital and what have you, but I'm still getting a good signal. So one of the input amplifiers could be faulty, I suppose. But there again, if I turn the gain up on the digital to analog to digital converter on the input, I can actually clip. It tells me I'm clipping. I can hear it clip. I can hear the distortion and everything else that comes from doing that. So front end's working okay. So I'm kind of, to that point, I'm just kind of a bit puzzled as to why Windows thinks the signal is so quiet. And I mean quiet to the point of, if you went into the control panel for your microphones, it doesn't even show on the level meter. And you know, the microphone on this camera up here picks it up, and it picks me up from a couple of feet away. And this microphone actually does as well, but it just doesn't show on the signal meter. This one does. The one that's on that camera does. And I couldn't work that out. So effectively the signal level going into Windows, and therefore into OBS, was really low. Really couldn't understand why that should be. This is supposed to be, I mean, the Rode M3 is a voiceover microphone, so it's not as though it's you know, well, it is a stage microphone as well, but it's not as though it's a, you know, one that's meant for a high level voice input, as some do, you know, only, if you like. So it wasn't meant for voiceover, it's meant for pure level singing, but that didn't, you know. So at that point I was kind of completely puzzled as to just what was going on. And so at this point, one of the things you sort of look at is, okay, is the audio driver for that, you know, the input working right? You know, reboot the computer. But of course it's been rebooted many times, not that that's got nothing to do with it, but always good to have a clean start. And then try and do a driver update. You know, it's got the latest driver, it's a Microsoft driver as well, so and a hybrid sort of thing. Now that's latest driver, it's not that. So there's the ASIO drivers, that's the sort of internal representation. And I sort of look into that, and okay, I'm a version behind, complete version behind. And is that likely to be it? I don't know. Let's try it, because I really wasn't getting a good sort of sound level into OBS, and that was, you know, if you can't get a good sound in, you're not going to get a good sound out. It literally is garbage in, garbage out, or nothing in, nothing out. And so update the ASIO drivers, and at that point, that's the bit I probably shouldn't have done, but I did. So at that point then, it no longer recognises the analog to digital converter, or it doesn't install it properly. Oh, this is a pain. Okay. Delete the device in the control panel, plug it back in, it installs the drivers. No, it still won't recognise it connected. It's kind of like, well, you were recognising this sort of, you know, 5 minutes ago you were recognising this. This is at this point, deinstall it, delete the driver, deinstall it, unplug it, deinstall it, reinstall everything, plug it back in, still doesn't recognise the driver. Couldn't work out what was going on at that point. That's when you sort of, because at this point now I've got no microphone. I suppose I could have used one of these two, but at that point, of course, you've just completely reinitialized the whole audio subsystem. So at that point, all the speakers, the speakers are set to different defaults. In fact, the new device driver that you installed sets them all to itself, which is a bit of a pain in the neck. So reset the speakers. Then I've got to reset the sound inputs. The microphones are input devices, default communications devices, because they've all changed. Then we go into OBS and reset the input devices there because they've all changed. And you know, they've actually sort of wiped themselves out, so they've gone to defaults and everything else. Reset whole of our OBS back up at this point, and it's getting quite late now. So I mean, there was no way I was hoping at that point, if this comes straight back up, I'll do a bit of a late stream, be an hour late, you know, start at 8, and maybe do an hour, but no such luck. And I couldn't work out what was going on. So at that point, of course, the usual thing, hit the web, looking up information, and the only thing I came across was a comment actually, which was about it was actually about Apple Macs, and it was about the second generation of the interface that I've got, because I've got a first generation interface, there's now a second generation interface. So second generation interface, you can update the firmware on it apparently, can't on the first generation. So you've also got to be careful to get the right drivers, which I checked and I had. And so I tried, and I just came across this about it having a problem if it doesn't work when it's plugged into USB 3, find a USB 2 port basically was the advice for the Apple Mac. Is there something weird about this where the ASIO driver is expecting to see it on the USB 3 bus rather than the USB 2 bus? Luckily I've got a USB 3 card in the machine, because I bought one. Because at this point I was thinking, do I drop back to the previous ASIO drivers? Because I mean, they sort of worked. And I've got a USB 3 card in the machine because I bought an external 2, 3, something terabyte drive. It's at least 2 terabytes, I think. Could be 3. Or maybe a 4 terabyte drive, in order to archive off some of the video stuff to give me. I'm running out of disk space. 3/4 of a terabyte of video I've got, which are all Twitch archives. And so I plug it into there. Immediately the device perks up. It recognises the device, it fully installs it, and I've got audio. Microphone's working. Have I done something wrong? It's working. And so, alright, look at it, start looking at the signal levels, and well, at that point of course the device drivers just reinitialize the whole audio subsystem again. All the device drivers are out, you know, all the configurations, reset all the speakers, reset all the communications devices, reset all the default devices, reset all the default input devices, go into OBS, reset all the audio devices. So I'm getting sound now. And not only that, I'm getting sound showing up in OBS. It's a bit louder, not much, but a bit. Okay, I do not understand this. But it's now sort of at about -40 dBm. That's a bit more reasonable. Peaking -20. And okay, that's a bit more sort of an audio-ish sort of signal, especially for speech. And about the distance I want it to be away from the microphone, because I'm not singing like, you know, with the microphone stuff down my throat. I'm not trying to eat it, I just want to be stood near it like I am here. You know, my microphone's probably a foot away. And so at that point I'm getting audio. I'm getting a fairly reasonable audio, but this time it's about 10 o'clock at night, so I'm not going to stream now. And apart from the fact, I wanted to do some other stuff last night. You know, rebuilding the complete audio subsystem was not generally on the cards. That wasn't what I intended to do. So I'm there now. Alright, well, I've got this far. I might as well apart from the fact I just changed a lot of things, so I've got to reset up the audio again. I've got the VST plug-in so I can see the signal levels. I might as well go the whole hog, at this point. And what we'll do is, we'll put an equalizer module in there into the VST plug, into the system stack, the audio stack. It's called an audio stack because in electronic, on the computer, which sounds kind of daft because there's nothing to stack as such. But of course, these things used to be physical devices in a rack that stacked them up, and then you'd plug them, wire them together. And you do the same thing on the computer. Effectively, you stack them up. And in OBS, when you stack them up, they start at the top and work down. And so the audio comes down and it falls out the bottom, and that gets pushed towards the broadcast. I say push because at that point it could stop dead. It depends on whether you're using it or not. And so start by putting in actually some amps. So let's bring the signal level up to something a bit more slightly usable. So there's always a trade-off as to whether you do things like filtering or whether you do things like equalization before or after you amp the signal. And I kind of depends on when you do it, because if you do all your filtering, then you amp the signal, you're going to amplify noise, so you then need to filter your noise. Or if you amplify it first, you amplify the noise, well, you can then filter it out at that point, so you kind of do it once, but you've lost some. Anyway, I chose to amplify it up first, and to pull it up to a sort of a reasonably decent signal level, I actually had to use data chain to amplifiers. As it happens, though, probably would get away with one now, but I've got 36 dBs of gain. Sounds a lot, and it is actually a lot actually. But the first signal, just to bring it up to something that's usable. Then I push it into the equalizer. Well, I'm actually not using it as an equalizer. Well, I am, sort of, but I'm actually using it as a subtractive equalizer. Which reminds me, I should have done something before the start of this stream, but never mind. I should. By using it as a subtractive equalizer, what I do is I take a profile of the room and then I subtract that from what's going down the microphone now. So room noise is subtracted from the signal, so in theory what you're left with is just my voice as opposed to the background noise, which is the same whether I'm talking or not. That's going to be good when I have the fans running on in front of me on an extractor, because in theory it should attenuate the fan noise quite a bit going down the microphone. I'll still hear it unfortunately, but you might not, which will be quite good. So get that running. Let's shift quite a bit of signal. Okay, then the thing you do then, especially because my voice is quite peaky, well, it can be, and it's variable quite a bit. So I then push it into an audio compressor. So I'm doing all of this, I'm thinking, might as well progress with this and get a reasonably decent signal. Push it into the compressor then, voice compressor. So what that does is it effectively lowers the volume on the peaks and raises the volume on the quiet bits. So it tends to level out the variation in my voice a little bit. Not that my voice varies a great deal, but it's sometimes useful to just compress it up again. It makes my voice sound overall louder than it would do otherwise. So there's that setup. What I missed out of that stack then is just done it again, haven't I? What I missed out of that stack was the hard limiter to stop it hitting clipping, which is what I just noticed it had done. And I'll set that up later on tonight. What did I do then? Oh yeah, no, that's better. And then having done that, I then did that on the music track, because I thought actually I haven't got a compressor on there, but I have got a compressor on there? No, I actually haven't got the compressor on there. But at that point, I did sort of go, you know what, let's go the whole way at this point now. I've got, if I'm going to set up a semi-decent audio setup, I'm going to set up a semi-decent audio setup. So at that point, we'll go install some more software, this time a virtual cable. A nice device that. So that Petzl Vox that's running now, I can hear it, but what you're hearing on the broadcast is not what I'm hearing. You're hearing the music from Petzl Vox. I'm hearing I'm hearing a monitor signal from the signal that you're getting. Sounds complicated, doesn't it? But the signal's going into OBS sort of thing. It comes in, and I'm tapping off the middle here and monitoring it. So I'm listening to the signal that's going through this cable. I'm not actually listening to the signal that's at the end or at the start, which means if I turn my speakers off here, for example, you continue to hear it. So if I don't want the music, I can just turn my speakers off, you don't hear it. If I want it louder, I can turn it up without affecting what you're doing. And if I needed it to be louder on the broadcast, I can turn that up on the broadcast without affecting the loudness that's coming out to me, which is what you'll be able to do with an external mixing desk. But I don't have one of those. And it would be, well, I suppose I could do it because you'd be looping signals out. But anyway, I don't have one. But it's kind of nice because that way then I've got the signal which is coming out to you as music and the signal that's coming to me as music as two different things that can be adjusted independently, which is fantastic. And it also means that when I get around to it, I need to put a what do you call them? It's not a compressor, it's not an equalizer, but a level equalizer, so that I've got a more defined level of the music, because obviously some tracks are really quiet, some are really loud. What I can do is put I suppose it is an equalizer in, which will tend to equalize the volume differences, which means that I know roughly more what it's going to sound like, and I've got a more consistent sound. And I need to get that in. But one of the nice advantages is I've now got on my screen over there, and it is over there, which is a pity. But I've now got two sets of level meters, and I can actually see what the signal levels look like at any particular time, which is great. And they are semi-calibrated, because I haven't actually calibrated them against a known signal level, but they are calibrated internally. So I actually got a better representation of exactly what signal levels I've got, which is fantastic. And it also, because I was going all the whole way at this point, so I thought, you know what, I've gone to the trouble now splitting out the audio for the. It also means actually if I get any computer sounds like the pings from Windows, the only way you'll hear them is if they're loud enough to go out on the mic. Which this might being quite sensitive might well pick it up, but at least you don't get them going straight down the audio feed, which you would have done before. So to some extent the Windows audio sounds are isolated, which is fantastic because you're not hearing any Windows sounds now. Does mean if I play a game I've got to put an extra sound feed in. But I'll look at that later because I don't play games on stream. I think I've only done it once, and that wasn't very successful because of a software update at the time. But yeah, so I've now got a good audio setup, and I decided at that point, since I've now got all these separated audio, I might as well separate the audio into the video recording. So I actually record now. I do a multi-track recording now as opposed to just a single stereo track. I now actually record 4 stereo tracks. Why 4? Oh yeah, I've got a mix. Well, that'd be 3. I've got the audio mix which is coming out to you, which is recorded as a default audio track. I've got the microphone as an audio track, I've got the music as an audio track, and actually I've got the Windows desktop as an audio track. And all of those 4 are now being recorded. Which means that in principle, if I need it to, I can cut music out of the recording. If I do some editing, I can replace the music, I can replace the mic track without replacing the music. I can do all this sort of thing, which is really, in principle, is quite nice for editing. And eat more chips. Hello, nice to see you. I was just explaining about my audio setup. Hello. Did you check out Keith? I spent last night really busy sorting out audio and video. I was trying to. Ended up last night towards the end of the evening with a recording multi-track audio, and then the video editor I use won't read the multi-track format, so I have to convert that to MP4 before I can edit video, but then it won't actually still read multi-track audio files. So at some point in the future I'm going to need to go looking for an editor that will actually handle multi-track audio. So all in all, yesterday was quite a bit of a, but at least I thought, love this, at least I've got this far, and can broadcast tonight. I'm fine, thank you very much. Yeah. So, how does, since I can ask you, eat more chips, how does the audio sound? Hopefully it's clean audio, it's louder than the music isn't overpowering, and you can hear. Yes, please. My brain just died on me. What am I doing? I'm looking for that dot there. Oh, I'll need to, if you're going to send me a link, let me just do a permit just in case. I'm not sure if you're going to do that. I'll drop them onto right. Eat. Why do I not have a tab key on this keyboard here? There. Instagram. That was the one I meant. Yes, Instagram. Yeah. That was the name I was just trying to think of desperately then and wasn't succeeding. Yes, okay. That would be fine. And having said which, the computer that's in front of me, I can, yeah. I use pseudo random passwords, and it suddenly occurred to me that the computer that's in front of me, maybe it doesn't have the password file in it, but it does. So all my passwords are umpteen characters long, completely pseudo random. Which occasionally is quite good fun when you're trying to log in. And I came across a website last night that would not let me paste a password. I actually had to type it. And I can tell you, typing a 26 character pseudo random sequence is not easy. I'm glad the audio's fine as well, because having spent all that effort last night and all the trouble, because I missed the stream because of it, that it's sounding okay. I'm hoping it is reasonably loud as well compared to other streamers, and you're not having to turn up or turn down the sound. And then last night, to top it all off, I'm looking through the config as I was doing this, and I discovered that I've been broadcasting for a while at 1080p. Now, it's specifically not broadcasting at 1080p because I don't get transcodes. Yeah, and I don't even get enough viewers to get transcodes. Never mind the fact that I'm not, even though I am an associate, and broadcasting at 1080p means some of the portable things like the phones, etc., can't always render the stream. So I broadcast at 720 because most of them can, and also it means you get more movement bandwidth. So as I'm moving around, it tends to be clearer, especially when doing things like carving. This doesn't really make a lot of difference, or the pyrography or something like that. But okay, I shall take a look. I can do it now while I'm doing this. I think I can do it now while I'm doing this. That's going to start playing, aren't you? Hopefully not. You are, which means the microphone's off on that one. So yeah, dismiss, thank you. Inbox, thank you. No. Yeah, I'm just having a look. It's not arrived yet, so I may need to look a little bit. I'll try and remember to look in a few minutes, because I don't normally have the Twitch screen up in front of me, but I shall take a look. I've actually been for the past, I was about to say past few days, but for yesterday, whilst I was sorting all this stuff out, I was watching Lady Lucian as well, and I've kind of, I don't know if you've seen her. It's kind of inspired me a little bit to take a look at pastels. I've never been fantastic. Well, no, that's wrong. I have been interested in pastels, but I've never liked the mess, to be honest. That's one of the reasons why I like the electronic painting. There's no mess. It's easy to clean up. Just press the X button, it's all gone. Wish I could do that in real life sometimes. A big red X on the desk, it just all disappears. Okay, well, we'll take a look as soon as I can. And yeah, she was doing some nighttime. Actually, she's doing a volcano at night, I think it was, and I was just I kind of like pastels because of the vibrant colours that you can get, and because I do things like the scraper board and monochrome airbrushing, white and black. The dark stuff always tends to fascinate me a little bit. So, been watching her and thinking I might actually get a set of pastels and try them out. Let's have another look, see if it's decided to pop in. I bet you don't. Do you you do? You do reread it, but it's not. We're not there yet. I was kind of thinking I ought to get to do some more drawing myself, or at least get some more practice in at something. Even if it is doing it on the computer. If people are watching. If anybody knows any video editing software that isn't too expensive, and that's the killer, that will do multiple audio tracks within a single video file, then let me know. Because things like Adobe Premiere, Adobe Premiere Elements for example doesn't. I gather actually Adobe Premiere might, but at 600 quid a year, let's say £600 a year, it might, I don't know if it's that much. Because it would have to be, because I'd have to get the Adobe Suite, because I already use the Photoshop, Paint Shop, whichever one it is, the Adobe one, and you can get a single application rental, but you can't get two application rental. You can get single, or you can get the whole suite, and so the single's not too bad a price, but it's not great, but it's kind of as cheap as buying it and then updating each year. For the elements anyway, the full suite is somewhat expensive, but it's a lot of money, and it might, and I say might because I kept reading things probably from about a year or so ago where the fact that it wouldn't import multi-channel audio, and the fact that I'm now recording it wouldn't be nice if I was able to actually to get at those tracks if necessary. The only problem is, not so long ago, because I'm using Adobe Elements at the moment, and I trialled quite a few of the software, so I'm not going to be able to run trials again on those, so I don't actually know if some of those will do it. But one of the other things I want out of video editing software is I want the ability to do time compression or time lapse. And all of the Elements is the only software that I found that would do the compression ratios that I'm after, like at least 2000%, because if I want to time lapse something like a carving or pyrography, which is maybe 12 hours, and get that down into half an hour, I need that sort of length of time, compression capability, and as I say, not many would do. There's a possibility that Sony Vegas might, or whatever the company is that owns them, might do both, but just at the moment can't afford to buy them, so that will have to wait. Luckily I don't need to actually edit multi-channel audio at the moment, so has it gone in there? No, it's not there either. No, Twitch is taking their time to deliver it, eat more chips. Hopefully it'll come in at some point. They're busy, Twitch is busy releasing new high-speed page delivery. I noticed, got a message about it tonight. It's on their blog. Actually, it does load a lot faster as well. Yeah, you wanted to send. There are times when you kind of wish you had. Yeah, great Twitch. Adding all these new capabilities is fantastic and stuff like that. But can you not just deliver messages faster, or add some extra transcodes, or just do some of the basic stuff. Yeah, it looks like it's going to be a little while. It's still not coming. I mean, I am even checking the other folder just in case, but I may have to. If I can, on stream, I'll take a look. Otherwise, I'll take a look and send you a message back later on. Eat more chips. So you like steam engines? What sort of steam engines? Just as in steam engines, or traction engines, steamboat engines, these sorts of things.
What is up, the world?
I'm kind of just fascinated by the fact that actually the bit I like, which is why I watch Keith, is I like seeing him do the engineering. I'm not fascinated as such by an engine, just fascinating seeing somebody work on them. What am I checking? You like any engine really, but mainly steam engines. I kind of am a bit more interested in turbines. What am I checking? As in, in front of me. On the Twitch message system. And the inbox, outbox, and other. So spam messages going other. Don't think it's going to treat your message as spam, but I was checking there anyway. Oh, an instrument. Sorry. I'm being sick, aren't I? Okay, let's have a go at. Let's bring up Instagram in front of me. Thank you very much. Can I have my keyboard back?
What is up, the world?
That's the one I want. Right, now I'm going to have to log in. Which means I need to know what my password is, which I don't. There we go. No, not for the minute. I'll update that later. So, internet, Instagram is there. Oh, I hate this. Why are you doing that? I am not gonna. Yeah. I do hate sites that try and force you to use a particular application or things like that. It's like I tried posting images onto Instagram when I created the account, and I could not get the thing, and eventually realised that you have to have the application on a phone, which is great when the photographs are on the PC, until you realise, well, you work out you can cheat. So, okay, I don't use Instagram, so now I've got to work out. Thank you very much for the likes. So, you've sent me a private message on there. Presumably somewhere in here, I get the ability to look. but it's not talking to me. Thank you very much. Yes, I am. How? Well, I suppose what I... No, I don't. I do not find it particularly... I don't find Instagram very intuitive to use, to say the least. And yeah, get the app. I don't want to get the app, thank you. I've got enough things installed. You go to quite a few places where there are traction engines, and the elephant and the dog. Now then, how do I get to see? I did not mean to do that. Touch screens. So I accidentally touched the following button, and now I'm not again. Oh dear. Let's try. Touchscreens are all right. No, I don't want to do that. Okay. So you've sent me a message on there. Did you send me a message, or did you just allow me access? Because if you did, I've accidentally disallowed my own access. I don't know what I'm doing with this. You sent me a private message on there. I don't know how to see it. Or is this going to be one of these that's only visible in the mobile app? Okay, let's therefore switch to, if I can remember how to do this. Inspect, and I want to pretend to be a tablet, and then I want to refresh the screen. Now then, that's me. That's no. Thank you very much. I do not know how Instagram works, so yeah. Well, what I've just done at this point is told my browser to pretend to be a mobile. So now it thinks I'm a mobile. In fact, I think it thinks I'm... What do you think I am? I can't remember. But it thinks I'm a mobile now. And by doing that, I've now got, for example, the photograph icon. So I can actually sort of upload photographs from the PC now. But let me put that back down over here. What I'm trying to do is find out where, if it's lets me. Right, I'm going to stay well away from the following button. So what I can do is look at the photographs. Look at the photographs that you've got there. Are they available in the normal photographs? Eat more chips. I can see the first two. I do not know how Instagram works. So the elephant and the dog, are they your drawings? Go to the home, then top right there's a little arrow, go on that. So go to home, which is that one. Now you see on mine the top right I've just got a plus for discovering people. Unless of course Instagram just hasn't decided to tell me about it just yet again. That could well be it, I guess. One of the things I can tell is you have a little difficulty with the same thing that I do, and that is angles. Because I'm looking at the Spitfire, which I'm guessing is an early drawing, and the dog. When you've got that slightly odd angle, it's a little bit difficult to work out where things go. But those two are they're probably better than I can do, to be honest. The elephant's lovely. I cheated and did a side. Well, I've sort of cheated. I did a side on elephant when I did did one airbrushing. Is that elephant partially watercolour? Because it kind of looks like it. The Spitfire was your very first drawing. But planes are notoriously hard to do actually at that sort of angle, where you've got them banked up like that and slightly towards you. When I was doing the Lancaster on the pyrography, when a long time ago when I first started streaming, it's kind of got a similar thing, and trying to get those wings right was a real pain in the neck trying to. Okay, it may be obviously the way I'm looking obviously at a thumbnail type picture. Can I don't know, on Instagram, can I do that? Yes, I can. Oh, of course, yes, you've smudged it, haven't you? The smudging looks like just as I was looking at it, looked like watercolour. I think one of the things that you hear me say a lot when I'm streaming things like the pyrography is to draw what you see, not what you think. and it's something that's really hard to do, and I have problems with it all the time. I'm looking at the elephant, and you've kind of done that with the trunk, not the trunks, the tusks a little, haven't you? I think you've kind of, it looks like you've drawn how you think they should be rather than how they actually are, and it could just be the shading that's making it look like that. That's the bit that sort of catches me a little bit. The kind of out of keeping with the rest of the animal for some reason. Okay, will do. Refresh the page. Okay, I can see the path in the woods. Is this one a more recent one, or is this one a little bit older? So there's the horse. That's nice. You've not done bad with that cat. Just the outline of the face like that. That's not a bad outline. Where the ears join the body need a little bit more on there. Yeah, his left, I say his, her left ear, the cat's left ear doesn't look quite right. Did they? Oh, okay. I'm not going to disagree with you. I'm just looking at it. Maybe that's one of those things where then you go, I don't know what you thought about it. I mean, you might think you look okay. I'm looking at it and I'm thinking that kind of looks like you tried to make them look a certain way and didn't. And it's one of those things where sometimes when I'm drawing things, I actually won't draw it as it looks, because if you do, it doesn't look right. But it could just be. Okay. I think these look quite, really quite nice. I mean, the cat's a really good drawing. The left ear is a little bit off, I think, when I'm looking at it, but it's a really good drawing. I think. Yeah. Okay. Shading. But thanks for posting them, Eat More Chips. I do like them. I think I think shading is something that if you work on, you can look at, and they will actually make things look a lot another level up. But have a great night. Thanks very much for dropping in and showing me those. Those are absolutely fantastic. Thank you. Right, I shall go back to doing some more of this. So let me put that pen over there. This in a way is kind of relaxing after last night. It was kind of a mad scramble from about 6 o'clock till about 9, at which point I went, I'm not going to get a stream in tonight. I'm not, was it about 8 o'clock I think I tweeted out saying I don't think this is going to happen, and but about 9 o'clock it's when I suddenly this isn't going to happen, and I sort of relaxed a bit more and actually started probably making a bit more progress at that point, because I was kind of rushing up to then. but it was and at that point, having sort of made the decision that unfortunately I wasn't going to be able to stream, that's when it became a bit more relaxed and actually sort of started enjoying what I was doing, which was trying to get a decent audio and setting up OBS and things like that. But it's actually triggered quite a bit of activity, both then last night and today, doing things like looking at mic stands. It's kind of, why do I want a mic stand? Well, actually, I want a mic stand for the camera. I might want a camera stand for the mic as well, but this camera that's here is on it's not a telescopic arm, it's a sort of an angle poise lamp type arm, and it's actually not fantastically flexible as I thought it would be in order to, for placement of the camera, and one of the ideal places for it would be sort of at the side of my head, for example, here, and it just won't go there, and of course I keep knocking into it. So what I did start thinking about is whether or not to actually get like a mic stand so it's peeking over my shoulder and looking down from here, so the mic stand's behind me. And then I was also thinking about whether or not to have to put the microphone on the angle poise, which will then pushes it up out off the desk. Potentially gets it a bit closer, but I don't really want it in view. I mean, you're seeing the camera there as well. I suppose if it was over my shoulder, you'd see the camera. I'm not fixing anything to the ceiling to dangle the camera off of, so that would be sort of the next best thing, perhaps poking it over my shoulder. So I started looking at that, and then thinking, yeah, a decent mic stand. They cost a bit, not a lot, but a bit. So that's something to save up for, especially if I end up needing two. But because I'm not sure whether, well, this angle poise might hold a microphone. It's a problem with a lot of them. Microphones are heavier than they seat than you might think, especially this Rode M3, because it's a complete metal body. And it's a relatively heavy microphone, and I'm kind of wondering whether that will sit on there or not, or whether it will tend to sink, which of course wouldn't be very good. Then I started looking at lavalier mics. Quite why they're called lavalier mics I'm not sure, but it's a posh term for a tie clip microphone. And because I don't like wearing a headset, so lavalier microphone, well, I suppose it's a possibility. I don't like wearing a headset, so don't want a headset on. I could wear a boom microphone, like a stage microphone, which is either sort of just tucked to one side here or on your forehead, so the sort of stage microphones. Could wear a tight clip microphone, but I don't really want one wired. I mean, the fact that I can just wander off now and go get something if I want it to, and of course the microphone stays here, and I'm not trailing a wire or tripping over a wire, ripping it out of wherever it's in, or pulling half the audio equipment off the desk if I forget. So that's something that's getting a bit out of the window, because I don't like anything over my ears, so my boom mics out, and I think they kind of look a little bit silly at times, and I don't need it a lot of the time. Well, for me, a lot of time you can adjust the audio setup, so I mean you may well be getting some pickup of the audio track, the music, through the microphone, but they're quiet enough for me to hear is the speakers. And any pickup you're getting is going to be drowned by the actual track, the track that's playing itself. So I don't really need speakers to isolate, so I'm not worried about feedback. And if I really was, I wonder if I could cross mix, if that was a problem, whether I could cross mix it and subtract. But that's a different question. But I don't really need the headset to isolate the sounds. And I'm thinking even if I was playing the game, because I don't tend to have the volume up that much. And with this sort of microphone, it's more forward focused. It's one reason I got an end-fired microphone, because the pattern is more towards me than it is from behind. So if this is got its back to the speakers, then it's even less likely to pick up sound from them. So I don't necessarily need to wear a headset, and I don't need to monitor my own audio going out, which is another reason why one might wear a headset, because I know it's set up well enough that I don't need to bother. But apart from that, it's really hard to talk when you hear your own voice. If there's any form of delay at all, you have a problem speaking. It takes a lot of practice and experience to speak whilst you're hearing your own voice with a slight delay. And if you're trying to monitor the output, then hearing the input, so with zero latency, is okay, but it doesn't give you any indication what's going out, so it's kind of pointless. The musicians, etc., who listen at the input, what they're doing is they're using it to isolate other sounds, so they hear only their own. So while they're singing, for example, they can hear whether they're in tune. All the other sounds are attenuated because they're through earphones, headphones, whatever, and therefore it makes them easier to stay in tune. So they wear headsets for the opposite reason. So I kind of have no real reason to wear a headset, which is good because it makes my ears hot. And so the thing becomes, microphones. Well, if I walk away from this, of course the microphone level goes down. I can cheat a little bit by putting a compressor on there, but that only goes so far. Lavalier microphones tend to be a little bit more forgiving, because if you move your head to one side or other, then they can the sound level changes with those quite a bit. But again, an audio compressor can help with that. But to be honest, I tend to be looking down, and whilst I'm talking, I'm looking down. If I look over there, I tend to turn my whole body. So the fact that I might not be in line with the microphone isn't really a problem. But it could ultimately be cheated on by wearing a headset, a wire headset. But the main thing I've sort of spent a couple of hours looking at today was wireless. So wireless body packs, not wireless microphones, because the wireless microphones is a big thing. You're holding your hand, you're speaking to it. Well, that's fine, but I either need to hold it. Well, I'm using two hands for carving, for example. Can't hold it, or you put it on a stand on the desk, or then you think, why wireless? Why have the trouble of the wireless? Waste the battery, waste batteries, because they eat batteries, when I can go wired. So wireless battery body packs was what I was looking at, so that I can actually sort of clip one on to me, the microphone, whatever style of microphone goes into the body pack, and then I can walk around. And yet the microphone still works. But it might be something if, and that's a big if, I ever get into doing the flame work, which I still intend to try out later this year if I can. That's subject to something else happening first. But if I get into trying that out and I decide to like it, and I decide to set up a glass studio so that I can do it, and I start streaming that's when I'll look at a wireless body pack, I think. because then it will be easier than having anything wired on me. Although I could potentially still use the M3, I just don't know how well that's going to work with the sound of a torch nearby. Right. What else was I looking at today? Oh yeah. It was sort of one of those days where I started intermittently, whilst I was waiting for other things to happen at work, was just looking up things. Spent quite a bit of time looking at e-ink displays. One of the things that I'd quite like to be able to do, which we've not got a lot to do with streaming, but one of the things I'd quite like to be able to have is a to-do list. I kind of have a to-do list, and there's one of these home assistants just over there whose name I'm not going to mention so that they don't perk up and talk. But one of those home assistants which will put stuff on a to-do list for me. And so I was kind of thinking of a way in which I could have that displayed all the time somewhere around where I tend to work, because it's not that I forget what it is that that's on the to-do list, but I kind of, because it's not there prompting me, I kind of ignore it slightly and it just gets pushed out of my mind while I do other things which may just be as simple as watch a video, because I don't have this list in front of me. And I do have obviously the computer, but windows get covered or they get closed, so that's not a great thing. I've got some old laptops and I've got Raspberry Pis, and I've got a couple of tablets, so you sort of might think, with a Raspberry Pi you could always, there's another screen here, you could always do that, but with both that and the tablets it's kind of like, do I really want to have like a big 19-inch monitor, small 19-inch monitor, actually is that 21? Anyway, on all the time, just have this on it, and the tablet's kind of the same thing really. I want this plugged in all the time with just a display to-do list. It would be kind of nice, but on a night I kind of don't want it on, don't want the display on. I don't really want to be drawing the power when I'm not in the room. I'd rather it sort of turned off. And it's kind of like, well, I can't really do that with a standard display of any kind. So one of the things that crossed my mind is an e-ink display. If you're not familiar with e-ink, what that is, or e-paper, Kindle, mobile reader. These use e-ink displays. So a book reader, you may be more familiar with those. So I was kind of thinking one of those, because when you've got something on the screen takes no power. In fact, the whole device can be asleep at that point, and the screen just has on it whatever was there. And because there's no light, it doesn't need a light, because it reflects, works like paper does with light that's on. So when you turn the lights off on the night, it's dark. There's no light shining or anything like that. I'm not wasting power. So I was kind of thinking, take one of those maybe, link it. I was about to say an Arduino, but an ESP32 or an ESP8266, which is a wireless kind of Arduino. So that it would just display a list, the to-do list. It was something that sort of crossed my mind, and I was looking at those, and display is about £40. I'm building a 3D printer, so a case isn't really an issue at the time. I've got an ESP8266 just down there that I could use. So I was thinking about, I nearly bought one this afternoon and I thought, no, I don't really want to spend any money at the moment, I need to save. But that was something that I nearly got, and I'd have been programming that on stream. So sort of next week, some of the streams might have been an Arduino programming. But I also suddenly thought, you know, yes, okay. The assistant's got the to-do list, but then I need to get that onto the ESP, or do I do something like design my own? Because I've got a mini cloud. Yeah, I've got a virtual server. Well, actually, I've got a real server with virtual machines on it. It's sat over there, and so I could always run up a web server with to do things like have a to-do list on it. I keep meaning to fire up a general purpose server. I haven't done it yet. I've got some specialist servers on there, but I keep meaning to sort of fire one up for odd projects like this. And so things like putting a to-do list on it, simple database display, you know, a couple of forms. Not a particularly daunting thing to do. Which then the e-ink display could sort of read every minute or something like that, and just refresh the display, and then wake up, grab the thing, refresh the display, go back to sleep, and then I'd have like a to-do list permanently available and in front of me, so to speak, and it's there. It's not wasting power or anything like that. So I was kind of looking at those this afternoon, so that's maybe a project that I'll think about. I also then, apart from 40 quid, going, can I really afford to spend £40 at the moment? I'm deciding that actually no, I probably couldn't. It's a good idea, but whether I'll actually get any of those 2x of the round variety that I'd need to be able to do it, I sort of didn't know. I possibly would, because it's a nice toy to play with, but I thought I'll wait, I'll save up when I've got some more spare cash, and we'll see about doing that, and maybe then I'd program that on stream for people who are interested in seeing programming and physical interfacing, because that's kind of the bit about computing that fascinates me as well, is the physical interfacing. Physical computing, I call it, where a computer controls something in the physical world. So whilst I'm doing this, you are watching me, of course, Zaraganat. I stream on Twitch back to streaming on Twitch on a fairly regular basis. I'm trying to get to around every night for about a couple of hours, from around 1800 hours GMT, doing a variety of arts and crafts, of which we've got chainmail, making jewellery like this, and as you're seeing on the they're all but one of the colours available in anodised aluminium, and they're really shiny and pretty. Incidentally, if you're interested in chainmail jewellery, check out the shop, zaraganat.etsy.com, because all of the things that you're seeing on the right here, which were done on stream, are available to buy in the shop, or a version of them, because they're made to order. Can even be made on stream if you want, and they're available to purchase. So if you like something like that, then check out the shop, zaraganat.etsy.com. We also have done in that sort of line of things. We've done things like kumohimo braiding, which is a Japanese cord braiding, and bead weaving and not bead weaving, so beadwork, bead sewing, making bracelets with beads of various kinds, tubular bracelets, flat bracelets. So they've been done on stream as well, and happily doing those things. Wood carving, so using hand chisels for wood carving. For doing relief carving, that's shallow carving, where what you kind of do is kind of an object which looks like it's mounted to a board, but the board is part of the carving. So it's all one piece. So that sort of carving. I do power carving as well, which is using high-speed rotary tools, but I've not done any of that on stream as such yet. May do in the future, but not just yet. Scraper board, which is a beautiful medium. He says, trying to see what this. What that is it looks like a black board until you scrape it with something or scratch it with something sharp. And then what you doing then is scraping off a black surface, leaving something white underneath. So if you see a black and white image down in here, or there's two or three of them, then that's scraper board. They're great for things like space scenes, night scenes, or scenes that are in the dark, obviously because they're representative of just that. But you can sort of represent daytime scenes as well. It's just the way in which you decide to shade things. And you can actually, as we have done with one of the pictures that shows up, you can use ink to dye, I suppose, the white underlying material. That's the china clay, and therefore you get white on black or colour on black. And in this particular case, the grass that was around a cottage, I did it on stream, we did with green ink. It transforms the picture and gives it a completely different look, which is quite an amazing sort of image. So scraper board, and then pyrography, another type of art form, this time using heat to cook the surface of wood, changing its colour, creating images and pictures. And you'll see at least one of them that's on here, the sort of Savannah, Serengeti, whatever, but it's an elephant. It's sunset. It's called Salute to Sunset. It's the elephant's trumpeting. So pyrography, punchcraft. A couple of punchcraft images that show up here, both of them happen to be trains. Because they happen to be trains. One's a steam locomotive, one's a diesel electric. They're made sort of using a really large needle, pushing sharp needle, like hypodermic type looking needle, which is pushed through material, dragging a thread with it, creating loops of wool. And you can form an image by changing the colour of the wool, and also by how much of a loop you leave behind when you pull the needle out. And that's called punchcraft. It's kind of a miniature rug making technique, but there's at least a couple on there of images that have been done using that technique. And then there's this magic. Well, it's been called magic dots. I think that was a term coined by one of the viewers. It's a clone of something called diamond dots, because of the shape of these little plastic things I'm putting onto this material, and the fact that they're faceted like diamonds, so they reflect light and sparkle, as you've probably noticed off the black here. I also done glass engraving on stream. They were doing that at the beginning of this week, and I decided I'd actually had enough of the noise for a while, because I have to run an extractor fan in front of me. and I changed to doing this as a chill, relaxing way of doing something different, and it's a project that I needed to finish as well as this. So I did do some glass engraving that's been done on stream, and that's high speed, using high speed tools, like tools that spin at 300,000 RPM, and that's probably in the region of about 20 times faster than a Dremel. They will tend to run about 10 to 15,000 RPM, I think. 1500 RPM. Yeah, we're running it through. That's a lot faster than that. But 300,000 RPM, because the other tool I've got is called a micromotor, that runs at 38,000. And the dentist drill is almost 10 times faster in the way it spins. And I use those for glass engraving, but they also actually use them when we're doing power carving as well. It's the same tools, and it's literally the same tools. You can literally use the same drill bits as well, like dentist drill bits. And mentioning sort of variety, you know, we've made a quadcopter, remote control quadcopter on stream. Started making a 3D printer on stream, but I don't think anybody's really interested in that one, so not continued doing that on stream, but it is sat over to one side of me awaiting finishing. I shall be doing some more work on that during tomorrow afternoon probably. I'd like to get that finished so I can actually use it. Given that it's about a 4-year-old kit now, it would be nice to actually have it doing something rather than just take up space in a box. Or now it's taking up space in a box and on the desk. And we've got quite a lot of other things that we could do on stream but haven't done yet. Airbrushing being one of them, in addition to the power carving, and anybody likes making plastic models. I've got some of those. I've got some modelling to do, as in I've got a 1/12. Or is it 1/14? 1/14 scale articulated truck to build. I have a low loader to scratch build for that. Got a tank trailer for it to build from a kit. I've got some of the parts to make a scratch built bus, which will either be a bendy bus or a tour bus, probably a double decker tour bus. Bendy bus because it bends and it's a pusher, which is actually all buses are pushers, or most buses are pushers, but bendy bus because it bends, or the tour bus because it seemed like a good idea at the time to do all that sort of interior modelling as opposed to just seats that you might get in a bus. And the bus is just because it was an unusual sort of idea to do something like that. But I also have perlers. Could do a perler image if I can think of a photograph I want to do, because it's a photographic kit. I can do. What can we do on stream? We can make rugs. We can actually make rugs, flat-show rugs and punched rugs, and do knife carving, which is nothing. Airbrushing, which I've mentioned. What else have we got around here? There's various sewing, so needlepoint, cross stitch and tapestry. They can be done. So there's a heck of a lot of stuff can be done on stream, as well as day-to-day things like video editing and programming. Just all these sorts of things as well, which is just as things come to mind. So all any of these things you might want to come back and see the stream. So if any of those sorts of things interest you, you might want to follow the stream. Push that follow button. That's up. there. Well, a bit further up above there. And then get the notifications from Twitch, of course. So you can follow me on Twitter at Zaragonart, because I tweet about the stream as well and stuff to do with the stream. Not thousands of things to do with the stream, but a few things to do with what I might do on stream or might not do on stream, and about the stream itself as to whether I'm going live, or like as it was last night, I couldn't go live because I've got no microphone. And if you're feeling flush with cash, or you'd like to take advantage this month of the, was it September, I believe they call it, half off subscription fees, there is a subscribe button up there. 2 cameras makes this interesting. Do that, I can do that. I've got to look at a monitor though to see what I'm doing. If you ask you to consider taking a look at that and deciding for yourself whether or not you would like to support the channel, because it does, either of those actions, support the channel in various ways and allow things like the purchase of materials and things like wireless, well, mainly materials, but things like the wireless wireless body pack would be something like that, or a new camera. Which reminds me, I have a Raspberry Pi over there. I nearly bought a Pi W this afternoon and then decided against it because I've got a Raspberry Pi over there and it should be powerful enough to run a camera module, a 1080p camera module, and I should then be able to have that available to a picture available with OBS, so I can have 3 cameras, and it should be reasonably decent quality 1080p. I think the camera I've got is a 5 megapixel camera as opposed to an 8 megapixel camera, but which is the latest one, but I'm kind of be using it more as a proof of concept because it's a no IR camera that I've got, which won't make a lot of difference here, but I was thinking that would be quite a useful thing if I ever did flame work, because as it doesn't have an IR filter in it, if I put a visible filter in front of it, it would show infrared. Could be great for showing flame work. But as it stands at the moment, it would just be slightly, things look slightly brighter than they should, but that can be compensated for. But it would give me another camera, perhaps a close-up one or a different view that I can then switch the main view to. You can get like a view this way or that way, or even just hang 2 off the same mount here so that they've got different perspectives. So one looking at this way and one looking at 90 degrees, for example. Options. See, that's one thing that was creative, perhaps IRL broadcasters. We have to think about things like multiple cameras. You know, we've not just got the one face cam like a game player has, because the rest of the screen is the game. We've got at least one camera showing the material, perhaps another camera that's on the face, maybe a third camera showing a different perspective, or a fourth, and things like that. So we have it a lot harder to us. Game players have it easy. Yeah, including things like creative wise, we have to think of that background music and royalty free music, and of course the game players have it built into the game. I am doing that on purpose, of course. Actually, whilst that reminds me, for no reason at all as to why it reminded me, a couple of other things down here in the blue box at the bottom. There's my own website, zaragonart.com, which has a little bit of an explanation about some of the art forms and the pieces that get done on the stream. So if you would like to look at those offline, as in when I'm not broadcasting. If I'm broadcasting, ask the question, don't mind if you have a question, but if you want to, you can also take a look there. There's some explanations of some of the art forms that have appeared on stream, and also a little bit about some of the images as well. There is a shop there, but it's only got I think it's only got a couple of pieces in it. I keep meaning to populate it, and I haven't found any to it yet. Something for the to-do list when I've made it is to put an item that says put stuff on the Sargonaut shop. In the meantime, if you're looking for shop stuff, take a look at Etsy, sargonaut.etsy.com. There is a Facebook page as well. You might like to take a look there. There's a few interesting things like photographs of the view outside the studio windows, so some of the inspirational photographs that are out there. I found 2 number 6s, interesting. You always find extra numbers. What's those? Let me grab a couple of these out here. And YouTube, yeah, YouTube. YouTube is mentioned it earlier on in the stream. I've got 3/4 of a terabyte of recorded video from Twitch broadcasts, and the intent is gradually, because I've already started, to upload those all onto YouTube. So if you'd like to look at some of the really early Twitch broadcasts, I think currently we're back in 2015, back in April I think 2015 at the moment, and there's images on there of the recordings that are on there at the moment are some pyrography. There's a little bit of carving I think on there. The punchcraft has started on there, so you might like to take a look. I do warn you, they're in real time, they're not time-lapsed or anything, so it is the Twitch broadcast, so it's the full 2 hours or however long it was that's there. So if you would like to look at any of the history that's going up there slowly, then check it out. So Sargonaut on YouTube, youtube.com/Sargonaut. If you like the channel, that will help out as well. And there is actually Sargonaut on Instagram as well, if you want to take a look, but as yet there's not much on there because I only started looking at it just recently. But I'm going to stop for tonight. It's 9 o'clock. I'm going to use some of those tuits I've got to do something. Big wall filters for the audio, or the compressor on the mic. That's the one thing I was going to look at. But I'm going to go look at that now. So I'm going to say thank you if you've been watching. It's absolutely fantastic. Be grateful if you'd consider the 2 buttons up there at the top right of the screen. And I'll hope to see you on the next stream, which I think should be tomorrow evening. We will be carrying on with this. The intent is for me to finish this within about the next week if I can, so that this is another piece which is off the desk, I will say out of the way, but what I mean, it's done to finish. So I'd like to go on with that. I then have some other things that I will bring back. I think we've got some pyrography to finish. Could do with finishing a latch of rug as well, so all these sorts of things can be done. But we will see as we get to them. In the meantime, as I say, thank you for watching. Check out all those stuff that's down there in the blue box. And they'll be on the end plate as well in a moment. Look out for me tomorrow night around just starting from around sort of 1800 hours GMT. If you're in England, that's 1900, 7 PM at night. Or elsewhere in the country, you'll have to do your own maths. So somewhere between sort of 1800 and 1900 I'll be starting. There'll be a tweet goes out. Twitch hopefully will notify you if you're following. Otherwise, just drop in. Bye for now.